Hey y'all, I had a request to show how I do the beading on my paper tassels. So I wanted to just do a little quick tutorial showing that. So I went ahead and prepped a tassel, so just the traditional way, however you make your tassels. If you notice, I have a hole, I wrapped it around a paintbrush to kind of leave that hole, and I did this so quick the paper isn't very tight, but it's okay. I was just trying to show y'all how I do this. So to start with, if you want to do a dangle, you would want to prep that first. And this is not my original idea, this dangle from underneath the tassel. I remember seeing this on a video, but I cannot remember who the person was, so I'm going to look for it. And if I can find the person who I was inspired by, I will link their video in the description below. So what I did is I went ahead and started by, I have this chain, and I have attached it to an eye pin. Eye pins have the little loop there, and so I just opened it up with my pliers, attached it to the chain, and then closed it back up. So to kind of get an idea, and you can shorten this, is I try to line it up with the tassel, and I don't like mine to dangle very far, so I'm just going to go a couple of links below and clip that. Right there. Okay, so then what I'm going to attach to this, I'm kind of going with the watermelon theme here. So I have this little watermelon charm. I got it on a card that looks like this. It's all these different fruits. And I'm going to add some of these little beads to it. So you didn't have to watch me do two. Not sure what happened there. I already added one, so I'm going to show you how I do that. So the first thing is, so I didn't realize, I wasn't really paying attention. This one already has, no, I'm sorry. I am going to add, for some reason I had used an eye pin on that one. Use a head pin. The head pins have the flat part right there. And if you get this too short, you're going to be hating life because you're not going to be able to do your loop right. So I always go a little bit big. So what I do is I kind of measure the length or the width, whatever you want to call it, of my finger, and I clip it. And I know that that's going to be a little too long, so I'm just going to take a little bit off the top. And then what I do, you can add some glue there if you don't want that to spin around. So put the pliers right up as close to the bead as I can, and bend it back. So you're trying to make like a 90-degree angle there. And then you grab the tip, so you hold your hand with the pliers your fingers pointing up. You grab the very tip, and then you just roll your wrist all the way around. If you can hold on to it. And then that makes a loop right there. And of course you want to attach it before you close it up all the way. Once you attach a jump ring into it, it is a little tricky to get it closed. So you could make it the eye a little bit bigger if you need to, especially if you're adding multiple jump rings. Okay, so then I've got this going on right here. It's a little watermelon. I'm sorry if my lighting is really bad. A little watermelon charm with a red and green little crystal bead attached to it. So then what I will do is I want to attach the charm to the end of my chain. And the watermelon charm has a jump ring. So I'm going to attach it by that. I use this little two-handed method. Just kind of open it up a little bit. And then, and hopefully this jump ring isn't too big for these links. Okay, good, it worked. And then, Sorry guys if I'm going out of frame. I'm having a little trouble with my camera setup. I tried something new, so I'm seeing how it goes. Okay, so I can mess with that later. Basically, you just want to make sure that the jump ring is closed all the way. And normally, I already put this in before I attach that, but again, I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm gonna just go up. If it will let me. It might not be very forgiving tonight. Okay, so don't do what I just did. Normally, I go ahead and I drop the chain down into the tassel, and then I do all of that, so you don't have to struggle with that. So then these are the beads I picked out. So, and again, you can put some glue in there if you don't like the beads to spin around. They're going to stay, but if you don't like them to spin, you can use some glue. So I've got those on there. I'm going to do the same method where I go as close to the bead as I can with these needle nose pliers and then bend it at a 90-degree angle. And kind of trim it down just enough to make a loop. Make your eye, is what I guess they call it. So this is one reason why it's beneficial to glue it, is in your pen's not wobbling all over the place. So you have your fingers pointing up, you have the tip, and then you just roll your wrist all the way around. Your fingers will more than likely end up pointing away from you. So now that one is not very pretty, but that's okay. Just for the sake of this, I would normally go back and fix that. So then what I do is I take some hot glue. Gotta be careful, don't want to glue the chain there. So I just put it all around the inside. I know that is so dark, I don't know what to do about that. And I kind of pull it from the bottom to get the beads to stick right there, and then just let it sit. I've had pretty good luck with this stain with the hot glue. I know not a lot of people are a fan of hot glue. So another trick I've heard is people will really use E6000, but then use just a tiny bit of hot glue to hold it in place so you're not having to hold it. So then what I tend to do with all of my tassels is I will add a lobster clasp to the loop, and then the tassel can be clipped onto something that then if I'm giving this to someone, if the user decides they don't want the lobster clasp, it's easy to take off. But if it helps them out with hanging it on whatever element they want to put it on, then it's there. So this dangle's maybe still just a little bit longer than I like. So normally I kind of see how I like it before I do everything. So if I need to trim it down, I can. But it's all with how you like it. It's like right here, I really don't like all of that wobbling. So I'll glue the beads to each other, not so much to the pin, but to each other so that they're stable right there. But basically, that is what I do. It's pretty quick and simple. It's just, you know, the more you use the pliers with the bending and the rolling, you kind of get it, and then you can toss them together real quick. And of course, you know, I would never leave that open. I would take some trim. I know this doesn't necessarily go, but you could take, I've used lacy trim like this. You can use beaded trim, washi tape, ribbon, and then sometimes, let's see if I can find something small. I know that these are bats, so they don't match, but I have them close by. Actually, this is a spider. So if I had, you know, a little piece of trim to wrap around, and then maybe I'll take like a bow or a flower, and I will stick it on there like that. So on this one, you know, I would do like another little watermelon or a flower if I had a small enough flower. I have these flowers here, but they are way too big. I think that could still possibly work, especially if you made your tassel a little bit bigger. But I've done that before. Flowers, finding those cute little buttons from Home Hobby Lobby that you find in the scrapbooking section. So just any little thing, you don't have to put anything either. You can just leave it with the charm, and sometimes I do the dangle and sometimes I don't. So there's all different kinds of ways you can do that. It's all up to your creativity. So I really hope that this helped, that this explained this well. If for some reason I left something out or I didn't explain something well enough, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions if you have any. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you.